Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the noon news from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us to end your week. I'm Aja Goare. A shooting at a Santa Fe, Texas school this morning leaves at least 10 people dead. The Harris County Sheriff says one suspect is in custody and another person of interest also detained. CBS's Courtney Zabowski has the latest.
The day had barely began at Santa Fe High School when the shooting started.
I heard really loud booms, and I didn't know what they were at first. And then I realized what they were when I heard screaming.
Police are questioning at least one suspect.
One male is in custody, and then a second one, again, was a person of interest. Both are believed to be students here at the school.
Law enforcement gathered students on the field while they rushed into the buildings. Senior Tyler Turner saw at least one injury.
I saw some girl, she had she got shot in the kneecap, I guess.
Students reported seeing a shooter enter a first period art class and open fire. Then someone pulled the fire alarm.
Because the fire alarm got pulled, I thought maybe it was just like, popping of something, like an explosion or something. So I was like, whatever. But then when I heard the next 4 shots, I was like, no, it's not an explosion. That's, gunshot.
This sophomore ran to a nearby forest for cover.
I shouldn't be going through this at my school. Like, this is my daily life. I shouldn't have to feel like that.
Parents rushed to the scene after seeing this emergency alert about an active shooter situation.
This is getting ridiculous that we have to be afraid to send our kids to school.
This morning's shooting comes as students were looking ahead to summer vacation, which starts in just 2 weeks. Courtney Zabowski, CBS News, Houston.
The suspect's name has not been released, but sources tell CNN the suspect is a male student. In other news today, a Cuban plane with 104 people on board has crashed at the airport in Havana. The Boeing 737 crashed shortly after takeoff this morning. The flight was beginning its 500-mile journey when it crashed 1.5 miles away. CNN reports there are casualties, but the number of victims is unknown. The future of the Farm Bill is uncertain after the House rejects the measure following days of negotiations between the two parties. All Democrats and 30 Republicans voted against the $867 billion Farm Bill over failed attempts to reach an agreement on immigration. The Farm Bill is considered a safety net for millions of American farmers and includes the supplemental nutrition program known as food stamps. Last year, 40 million people used the program at a cost of about $70 billion. Republican leaders are discussing ways to bring up the Farm Bill in the future. Residents along the Clark Fork River in Missoula are catching a break as cooler weather slows down mountain snow melt. Over the past 24 hours, the forecast for today's next crest on the river has gradually dropped. Although waters will still be high again as we start the weekend, hydrologists now expect the crest on the Clark Fork River at Missoula to be at 12.6 feet. If that holds true, the river should stay below the 13-foot major flood stage and would be more than a foot lower than last week's crest, which was the highest in more than a century. County disaster officials say the flooding threat will continue well into June. Meanwhile, the floodwaters are leaving Missoula's homeless population without many places to live. The Poverello and Union Gospel Mission may be options for people in need of shelter, but about 6 people have returned to stay near the Reserve Street Bridge, where water is rising and dangerous. Some of them are in the process of obtaining housing vouchers, but others are not interested in the help. We turn now to the weather scene with Ed McIntosh. And how are we looking on the forecast for the flooding?
You know, it's a little better in some areas around the Clearwater River, down from a warning to an advisory as we start looking towards Missoula. But as we take a look around the region, we had some very heavy rain, and that will add to some problems in southern Montana. Quite a few reports, everything within that box, reports of at least an inch or more, and almost just a little over 2 inches at 2DOT, plus some very strong storms in Fergus County. A downpour brought over 2 inches of rain in about 30 minutes, scoured out a road there and knocked down some cottonwood trees. Also damage to some property over in around just north of the Circle area, where we had downpours, 4 inches of hail on the ground and 4 inches of rain in about an hour and a half. Well, let's wind down. We'll tell you with the forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ed. We'll check back in. A Beaverhead County Sheriff's deputy is out of a job, and some say the reason is politically motivated. MTN's John Amy has the story.
The recent firing of Beaverhead County Sheriff's Deputy Mike Miles is causing controversy in Dillon.
The attack truly appears to be personal.
Miles was fired by Beaverhead Sheriff Frank Klusner last Friday for insubordination, though some believe he was fired because he supported a candidate running against the sheriff in November. In April, the sheriff put Miles on paid leave for the same insubordination violation, and Miles appealed that to the Council of Commissioners.
The commissioners overturned that decision, issued a letter that he would be immediately reinstated.
Aaron Ralph of the Butte Teamsters Union is representing Deputy Miles in this matter and says there was no merit for his firing. He says that Deputy Miles had an unblemished career in his 11 years with the Beaverhead County Sheriff's Office.
Has served this community with honor. He has a great deal of integrity. He is very, very hardworking. He is committed to this community.
In Dillon, John Amy, MTN News.
Thank you, John. And the Beaverhead County Sheriff did not return our request for comment. The city of Colstrip will receive $4.5 million to help prepare for life after the shutdown of the Colstrip power plants. The money comes from Spokane-based Avista Corporation, one of 6 owners of the Colstrip plants. The State Public Service Commission heard details Thursday on Avista's proposed sale to Canadian power firm Hydro One Limited. As part of that sale, Avista has agreed to pay $4.5 million to the city of Colstrip. Avista CEO Scott Morris told the commission he doesn't see the newer Colstrip plants 3 and 4 shutting down anytime soon, but Avista wants to help Colstrip prepare. Colstrip Mayor John Williams says the city negotiated part of that deal directly with Avista and will now decide with public input how to spend the money. The 5-member PSC must sign off on the proposed sale of Avista before it's complete. Last year, if you recall, Puget Sound Energy, the majority owner of the Colstrip plants, agreed to set aside $10 million to help the Colstrip community prepare for its uncertain future. A bear attack in the Cabinet Mountains south of Libby is under investigation today. The victim, a woman, reported the incident Thursday and was transported to the hospital with unknown injuries. Montana's Wildlife Human Attack Response Team is now investigating. The type of bear involved in this attack is unknown, as are the circumstances of the encounter. Check back on your local MTN station for the latest. Glacier National Park can now move forward with plans to rebuild the Sperry Chalet now that it's completed its environmental analysis for the next 100 Years project. The National Park Service reached that decision after careful analysis of the project's environmental impacts. A majority of the 72 comment letters NPS received during the public review period support the plan. Park leaders plan to rebuild the dormitory building that was badly burned in the 2017 Sprague fire at its original site within the original stone masonry walls. Construction will begin in 2 phases proposed for this summer and next. NPS and Anderson Hallis Architects are moving forward with this month with phase 1. Before we get to break, we have the name of the winner of the statewide Special Olympics Montana raffle. The drawing was held at City Motors in Great Falls, and the winner, Dale Frost of Great Falls. He wins a 2018 Chevy pickup truck valued at $42,000. The annual event raised more than $560,000 for Special Olympics. So congrats to him. Still ahead on the noon news, investigators are piecing together the details of a fatal bus crash in New Jersey. We have the latest from the scene, but first Ed has our weather forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching MTN News with Aja Goare, Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh, and Farm and Ranch News from the Northern Egg Network. This is the noon news on Q2, Montana's news leader.